extensive and diverse experience in working with open badges. So Lotta, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Minna, and very nice afternoon for everyone. My name is Lotta Pakanen. I come from Oulu University of Applied Sciences, and I work as a senior lecturer within professional teacher education. And I have been working with digital badges, open badges for 15 years. And of course, AI and open badges is something quite new to me also. But I would like to share some of my good practices and some of the things that I have noticed when AI can help and boost our open badge processes and where I think it doesn't play such a big role. So my experiences, my best practices, and maybe something new for everyone. So let's begin. Let's see. So I told you that I will be sharing some of my best practices, some good practices that I have found useful when using AI with badges. And here are eight different tasks that I think that AI, artificial intelligence, generative AI can help in some way. One of the best things that I find about AI is that it can kind of synthesize my thoughts. It can help me to translate my ideas because sometimes my ideas about badges that I want to create are not very structured. There are, thoughts in my head that I somehow cannot put in the paper or I cannot grasp them in the way that I want. And I have found that AI can help me to make my thoughts quite visible, and I do it by using the microphone. When you use ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever the AI that you prefer is, there is always the possibility to use your microphone. And I like to talk to AI. I explain that I have this idea about badges. I want to create something like this. I want to help people to recognize their skills in this way. And then AI boosts my thoughts, make them visible, make them more structured, and somehow help me to organize my own thoughts. That is one major plus that I have found when I'm working with AI. My thoughts, but somebody puts them in order in a way that it's easier to talk about them to other people. The number two, alternatives. We all know that AI can help us produce many ideas. Give me 10 ideas about a name for this badge. No, give me 20 more. Give me something more creative, something more playful, something more abstract, or anything that we want. AI is very good in this idea production. It produces many alternatives. Sometimes I use it to develop some first versions of the things that I want, maybe first version of the description or the criteria, and then I ask for more. So I'm the one who picks the best alternative, but AI helps me to produce ideas. My brain cannot produce that many ideas that AI can. Language support, consistency checker, things that I use AI for quite a lot. I want to ensure that my badges are consistent, they are comprehensive, that people understand. what they are about. Sometimes I see when we create badges that we kind of are a bit blind to the terms and words that we use in our organization or in our field. And sometimes those words and sentences and things like that are not really comprehensive for other people. So sometimes AI helps me to write down the criteria and description in a way that it's more comprehensive and is consistent. And I always like to use some sort of pedagogical approach when I create my batches, and AI helps me to compare different batches and make sure that it's consistent as a whole. So the batches fit together, and that's one of the good things that I found out AI can do pretty good. Sometimes I'm a bit lost in the way that I want to connect this batch to something, but I'm not sure to what. Do I want to connect it to reference frames or strategies or trends or curricula in my case? And AI helps me to find those connections to different things. This is not important every time, but I found it quite useful most of the time if I want to connect the badge to a bigger context. So these 5 are the things that I do almost every time. The badges are mine, but I use AI to kind of boost my badge creation. The other 3 is the things that I also use, but maybe not every time, but quite useful also. So raising points of view. My badges are for different target groups, and I find that AI kind of helps me to strengthen the point of view for different target groups. For example, I may have a badge that is for our staff, and AI helps me to strengthen the articulation that the badge is really for this target group. I also assess a lot of badges, and AI helps me to create more ways to, for example, demonstrate competencies in batch applications or things like that. So it can help me brainstorm some new ideas that what kind of batch applications should I use this time? How can I assess these competencies that are in batches? And of course, making expertise visible, because I found that the best way to use AI is to use it as hybrid intelligence in a way that it supports my own thinking and it doesn't diminish my own thoughts. But yeah, many things that I do, it doesn't mean that everyone has to use AI in these ways. Maybe you can find some other ways the AI can be useful. I would like to point out that I have one thing that I have found out AI doesn't give me any benefits, and that is creating the image, the picture for the badge, because we have in my organization we have really structured guidelines about what our badges should look like visually within the image. So I rarely create batch images with AI because I cannot make them the way that our organizations wants them to be. So I think that's the only thing that I don't actively use AI when I'm creating badges. Yeah, but maybe you found something among these that is something you want to try, or is something that you think that it's worth trying to boost your batch creation process. The next point of view is that I would like to introduce the idea that AI can hold some benefits for different actors. And we all know that within batching, there are different actors. There is the organization who issues the batch and develops the batch. There is a person who designs the batch, creates it, the person who applies for the batch, someone who evaluates batch applications, and then the person who views the batch, the person who the batch is shared to. And everyone can benefit from AI in different ways. And I tried to point out some of the main things that can be a benefit for these different actors. For organization, for example, for us, when we want to use AI with batches, I think that the batches give us, in the other hand, efficiency. I can make batches more faster. It doesn't take me that much time I can build batches in really effective way. But in the other hand, if I want, and I always want, to bring quality to batching with AI, I can also do that. So it's not only the efficiency that I can create batches more efficient, or I can evaluate batches more efficient, but it's also the quality. I can make our batches better with AI because AI may boost my thoughts. So it's both ways. For batch designer, it's the ideas that I talked to you about. So I can get dozens of ideas that I can choose from, and I can make my own thoughts more visible with AI. I can have alternatives. I can make manuscripts about batches and things like that. For batch applicant, it's the hybrid intelligence that you can use AI when you are completing the batch application. It doesn't mean that the AI is doing your application, but it means that you can boost your thinking. For evaluator, I think consistency is something that I want to bring out because some days I have to evaluate 50, 100 of batches, and I think that AI helps me to stay consistent. It helps me to make sure that my evaluation meets the quality criteria of this evaluation. So these are the things that I think that AI gives as a benefit for different actors. Then, design of batches. Here are some things that I want to point out when designing batches with AI. And some of the things I already told you about when we went through the good practices about batches. So yeah, clarifying ideas, structuring competence. I really encourage everyone to speak out loud and summarize your own thoughts with AI. You can idea about the batch themes, the content of batches, what is the purpose and meaning of batches. So AI can help us to clarify what we really want to do. I have an idea about the batch that should be like this, and AI can help me clarify and structure those ideas. Make sure that the batches are meaningful and they have a purpose. Building a system of open batches, many open batches in one. I can I can talk with AI about the number and relationship of the batches. I can maybe think about that I have this idea that I want to build a batch set, a batch system for this topic. Can you point out what kind of batches should this set or system include? What are the relationship between the batches? What would be a good number of batches? Are there any progression paths? Should they be some levels? Can you find some pre-existing stackable batches for my set? Can you check the uniformity, the consistency? Is the language, pedagogical model consistent within this set of open batches? Are there any overlaps? Are there some gaps? Could you suggest some potential partners? And you may think that, okay, I am an expert, I should be able to do all of this. And in a way, of course, I am, but AI can boost my thinking. And it always finds overlaps, it always finds gaps that I somehow cannot see. It always brings out something that I haven't really even thought about. And I think that is a good thing. It helps me to build better batches because it criticizes the ideas that I have. It criticizes the batches that I have created. It points out that something is missing. You should really think about that thing in another way. That is not logical. You get a bit blind when you design your batches. You sometimes don't see that there is something that should be improved, but AI can help you see those improvements. Of course, it can also point out the strengths, that this is a really good thing. And it kind of helps you to make sure that you are in the right track. Sometimes when we are building a set of open patches, we held a meeting, some kind of brainstorming meeting, usually in Teams, sometimes in Zoom, and we can record it and then get back to it. In the same way that now we have a note taker that is participant in this chat. But we can also record it, and then with AI we can get back to it. So we can kind of have a brainstorming meeting without anyone having to write down something that we have discussed. So we can just brainstorm and talk and share ideas, and then AI can help us, for example, to build a set of open batches. From the brainstorming and from the discussion we just did, it can help us to clarify those things. So that's usually quite useful. Then it can point out some connections between open batches and, of course, connections to other places. Like I said, for frameworks, future trends, research, curricula, anything. Future trends and research are something that I use quite a lot. When I'm building a new set of batches, I'm creating new batches, I always ask that, is there some kind of research or some kind of future trends or reports or anything like that that I can link to my batches to? Why are these batches meaningful? They are meaningful for me, but are they meaningful for my organization strategy? Are they meaningful for something else that is important for us? So it helps me to connect my batches to different things. And for example, the connection to our own strategy, I think that is one of the most important things that when we are using badges within our organization, we should link them somehow to the strategy. And it's sometimes hard for me to see the connections, but AI can help me to see that, okay, it goes here and it can do this, and maybe you could try that. And the way that I like to do it is that I gather material that is some way linked to the batches that I'm creating. And sometimes I give it to Gemini. Uh, Sometimes I give it to Notebook LM, and I kind of create a notebook for all the material. I gather frameworks and researches and trends and strategies and all kind of, material that somehow connects to my batches. And then I give all the material to AI. I maybe do an in-depth analysis, maybe do a deep research on Gemini or some other AI tool. And then I use all that to support my batch design. Most of the times I have a notebook, LM notebook for my batches, and that notebook includes all the materials that I want to use, and then I like to talk with AI with that material about my batches. So, yeah, the microphone, my favorite. I like to speak out loud my ideas, then have a brainstorming meeting with other people, have AI do analysis of that meeting, and then I like to gather the material and give it to AI and help me see the connections to different kind of things that I want to bring out with the batches. So many kind of things I can do with AI when designing batches. And here is my favorite process with AI, my idea process. And this is the thing that I mostly like to talk with AI. So I use the microphone for this. And I have found out, I have created many successful batches with this process. And it kind of helps me to boost the idea that I have. So I have an idea. I have an idea about a batch. I have an idea about a batch set. And then with AI, I do these steps. Of course, most of the times I also do them with my colleagues. It doesn't, exclude the fact that, of course, I can talk with my colleagues, but sometimes the things that my colleagues point out and the things that AI points out are quite different. And of course, they support each other. But if you have never tried the ideating boosting process with AI, you should try it. I find it really delightful. It doesn't mean that I accept every idea that AI gives me. Sometimes one of the 10 ideas is a good one, but it's a really useful process for me. For example, I have many ideas about the batches, and I have to present those ideas to other people before I can start developing my batches. And by doing this sort of process helps me to prepare my idea so that I can present it to somebody else. If I really haven't thought about all of these things, it's quite difficult for me to introduce my idea to other people. But when doing this process with AI, it really helps me to focus that why this badge? What is the purpose of this badge? Where does this badge belong to? What's the meaning of the badge? is there something that I should know? Are there some sort of challenges, something that I should do differently? If everything goes well, what is the best outcome that can come from this and things like that? But yeah, I really find this process useful, and I would like to encourage everyone to use AI in a way that an idea can be boosted. Some prompts that I have used, you can use these prompts or you can make them better. But these are quite good, and I have 4 different prompts. The first one is for clarifying ideas and structuring competencies. And I usually like to start my prompt with saying that you must act as a pedagogical expert. You must act as a designer of badges. So I define the role of the AI. AI, you should take this kind of role when you answer my question. Then I present a task, usually with these lines, because I want to make the task really clear for AI so that AI understands that what I really want to do. And then I give some input. I may give the idea that I have about badges. I describe it down, and I usually also say the target group because I think that the target group is quite important when we are clarifying ideas and structuring the competencies. Yeah, and we have 2 strategies when prompting. One is that I do all of this in one prompt. The other one is that I do it little by little. So you can try. Sometimes there is a difference whether you ask a long question, you write down a long prompt which has everything in it, or you do it little by little. So one thing at a time. First, structure the following idea into a batch. Then the AI answers. Then you ask, now identify and describe. So two strategies, and sometimes they give you a little bit different answers, so you can try them both. Yeah. The other prompt is about building. Now there's competence batch system because we use competence batches. Our batches here are mainly competence batches. They describe competencies. So that's why there is competence term in that prompt. But yeah, AI should act as a designer, help me to conceptualize and help me think about batches, relationships to other batches, those progression paths and levels and things like that, overlaps, gaps. So that's my another prompt that I use when I'm building batches. The other 2 are here. The third one is about connections and contexts. So in this way, I try to make sure that my batch is connected and linked to frameworks, features, curricula, strategy, and things like that. And the prompt 4 is about the recognition and value about the batch, because the most asked question for me is usually that why should I apply for this badge? What is the value of the badge? Why was this badge created? What's the meaning of this badge for me? And I like to boost that with AI. Try to make the AI act as an expert in the impact of badges and bring me some ideas that I can make sure that it's really clear that what does this badge say about the owner? Why has this badge been developed? Yeah. So these are my 4 prompts. You can use them, make them better, try them out, see that if they help with your batch creation. Then creating the batches. Now we jump to OBF, Open Batch Factory. And you can see that the topics that are on this slide are the same fields that are in Open Batch Factory. So the batch name, keywords, description, image, criteria, and so on. And we have talked about this already. So the name of the batch is something that you can brainstorm with AI. You can ask AI what could be the useful keywords. Are these suitable? Are these the right terms? You can think about that how you can enrich the competence data, the skill data that the batch has with keywords. The description of the batch, you can crystallize the batch idea. You can make it maybe more attractive to different target groups. The same text, but for different target groups. Maybe it changes. The AI is really good in writing something in different perspective. So you can use the same description, but AI can write it down in many different ways. I also already said that the batch image creation is not the thing that I use the most, but of course, if you don't have to follow strictly to your organization's visual guidelines, then of course AI can help you create images quite easily. These things are not included in OBF, so I do them separately. I do them in Copilot or Gemini or ChatGPT, and then I just copy paste them into OBF when I'm ready. Criteria, batch applications, and something that I find quite useful is the help texts. When I'm creating batches, I usually do some sort of issuer instructions. I also do instructions for applicants and other instructions, and I use Napkin, Scribe, and Notebook LM for creating these different help texts. And I can show you some examples in next slide. But AI makes quite easy for me to write down instructions for batching process. And here are the examples. The first one is from Scribe. I use Scribe to create instructions, for example, batch applicants. So Scribe is an AI tool that makes it really easy to build instructions because it kind of follows your browser and your mouse, and every time you click, Scribe takes a screenshot and then uses those screenshots to develop, for example, instructions. And I can edit them, but usually they're quite good without editing. But sometimes I like to edit them afterwards. Yeah, that's Scribe, really easy way to build instructions. The other one is Napkin AI. Napkin AI is a great tool for visualizing different things. For example, we have digital pedagogy batches here in OAMK, and I find that Napkin is a good way to visualize the batch set, the batch system that we have built. And I can copy and paste text to Napkin, and Napkin creates great visuals from that text. So in this case, I have just copy pasted some text that talks about our badges, and this picture is a visualization of that text that I have provided for Napkin AI. And Notebook LM, I have create a lot of instructions for also applying for our digital badges, instructions for teachers and things like that. So Notebook LM does pretty good visualizations also. So not the most important thing when you are developing and creating batches, but something that I found AI is pretty useful because it helps me to visualize the process of batching for both for teacher, for the batch issuer, the batch evaluator, the batch applicant, and so on. The hybrid intelligence that I have talked to you about is something that I always want to point out to the people who apply for the batches, because one of the main concerns have been that what if people use only AI when they're applying for batches? Is that a bad thing for badges? Of course, it's not only badges. The use of AI is everywhere, and the problem is everywhere. The challenge is everywhere. And that's why we like to educate and tell the batch applicants that, yeah, it's okay that you can use AI within batch application, but you must remember that the way that you use AI is not the way that you ask AI to provide you ready texts, but you must use the AI to help you support your own thinking. And this is one of the processes that we use when we talk to our applicants, that how they can use AI when they're applying for badges. And of course, many other ways. We also encourage that before you send out the application, ask AI to give you feedback on the things that you have done. And if AI gives you green light, you can be a bit more sure that your demonstration is enough, and you can apply for the badge and things like that. But the evaluation of batches is quite hot potato. Kuuma peruna means hot potato. And these are the things that people usually ask when we are dealing with AI and evaluation of batches. And this is a really important question, because we don't want that people just use AI when they're applying for batches. So these are the things that you probably should discuss in your organization. If you have batch applications, you have something that you must evaluate within the batches. These are the things that you must discuss within your organization. These are two of the examples that we have used with batches. We have this traffic light model here within University of Applied Sciences. And we have 4 different colors. The traffic lights have only 3, but we have 4 because we have also the blue light. And the blue light means that you must use artificial intelligence. You must use AI when you are applying for this badge. And the orange one says that you may use AI, but if you use it, you must tell us how you used AI and in what purpose. And these are examples now of the both ways. And within the orange image, we usually add to the batch application one field, and this field, for example, says that you must describe what kind of artificial intelligence you used and how you use it during the completion of the task. So there is an extra field with the batch application, and that kind of guides the batch applicants to write down in what way they have used AI with these tasks. And of course, if you didn't use, you can leave the field empty, but we give them possibility, a clear possibility to explain how they used AI. And in the blue light, we don't have the same kind of field, but the use of AI is built within the tasks. So the tasks cannot be done without using AI. And when our applicants, they apply for the badge and they add a link to the document where the tasks have been made, we can make sure that they really have used AI. And we also add this info that says that ensure that your own reflection is clearly distinguishable from the content created by artificial intelligence. So, yeah. But two ways that we want to make sure that if you use AI when you are applying for the badge, you use the AI when you are doing the task that is written down in the badge, it can be clearly pointed out in what way you have used AI. Not focusing on this one, just wanted to make the impression that we as humans are not perfect. And for example, the badges that we create and we issue, they all have to be evaluated. And as I said, sometimes I have to evaluate 50 badges, maybe 100 badges in a day. And sometimes I'm a bit worried that can it affect my assessment? I get tired. I may not see all the connections and things like that. And I like to think that AI could help me to make my assessment more justified and with more quality and with more consistency and things like that. It may help me, for example, calibrate my assessment. So, yeah, I'm the one who evaluates, but AI can help me to ensure that my evaluation meets the quality criteria that we need. The last thing that I wanted to introduce is the batch agent. And the batch agent is something that I have created to help my colleagues to create batches. In our organization, I am usually the one that gets all the questions about the batches. And I don't always have the time to guide and talk to people about the batches. So I created this batch agent called Batch Mentor, and I have added to Batch Agent, the Batch Mentor, all of my materials about batches. So I have educated this agent with my materials, my PowerPoints, my articles, my blog texts, basically everything I know about the batches I have given to this batch agent. And I have described that this agent should not use any other information. It should only rely on the materials that I have given it. And I have also created instructions that this batch agent should guide you in certain way, that it must guide you in different phases, and it should take in account this thing and the other thing and third thing and things like that. So it kind of helps my colleagues to build better batches. And it always, when it gives some sort of instruction, it always says that from what material is this instruction for, so that people who use the batch agent can get back to my materials and check out, okay, she really said that the batch agent was right. So this agent doesn't hallucinate because it only uses my materials. Of course, I have to make sure that my materials are good materials. And that's really important with AI anyway. So the data we give the AI must meet a good quality. But yeah, people use it to chat about batches and get ideas about new batches, and they help this agent to use Open Batch Factory, to use Open Batch Passport. If they cannot find something, they can ask this agent where I can find these kind of things and what should I write down in description field, and what are good keywords and things like that. And this agent does quite a lot. It's one agent, but I have thought about that maybe I would like to create some sort of batch orchestra. The orchestrating batches means that there is not only one agent, but multiple agents, and those agents work together. Because this agent sometimes it doesn't get lost, but I think that it sometimes gets a bit tired because it has to do so much. It has to know everything about batches. And I have thought about that maybe a better process would be that I would have an agent that guides the batch creation, the agent that guides the batch issuing, and so on. And I have pictured something like this in my mind, that I would be the batch conductor, or my batch mentor could be the batch conductor, like in an orchestra. And then I would have 6 different agents. I would have an agent that describes the criteria for the batch, agent that does the visual thinking if I want to do that, something to have to do with evidence, ecosystems, quality, communications. For example, these agents could be anything, but I have not had time to try this, but I would like to try if this kind of batch orchestra could do a better job with the batches than just one batch agent all by itself. Yeah. But these were the things that I find useful when I'm creating batches with AI. And I just wanted to point out again that I'm responsible for everything that goes into my batches. I don't take anything that AI gives me or AI suggests me as right decision or wrong decision or just like that. I always think about it myself, and I choose and I evaluate the things that I want to use. But the best way to describe my use of AI is kind of boosting my own experience, my own expertise, to help me build better batches, to help me get better ideas and help me to talk about the batch ideas that I have and make sure that they are grounded to something that my organization and I find meaningful. So I think that describes my use of AI in a good way. So, not doing things for me, but kind of helping me to think further, think broader.